Welcome back to Occult Archives, where we dig into those books in history that people kind of whisper about.
Right, right.
The ones shrouded in mystery, kind of wrapped up in
The
legend.
ones you don't talk about in polite company.
Exactly, yeah, like the forbidden stuff,
Yeah.
from those grimoires that promise like crazy power to the texts that hint at, the beginnings of the universe. Like, where did we come
All
from?
those cosmic origins, yeah.
These are the books that just make you think, what is in these pages? What secrets are they holding back?
Still, even today, yeah.
Today, we're going to dive into one that it really shook things up back in the day.
I did, yeah.
It's Helena Blavatsky's Isis Unveiled, Blavatsky's Challenge to Modern Science and Dogma.
Big title, big book. 2 volumes, actually.
2 volumes, wow.
1877. This thing comes out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just a book, it's like a huge statement.
A statement piece for sure.
Really challenge how people saw the world,
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to get a handle on what she was actually saying, like what was the core of her argument, and why people got so riled up about it.
Yeah, break it down for us.
One volume went after science, and the other, theology, like the big hitters.
Okay, so tackling the big systems of belief.
Head on, yeah.
So what was at the heart of it all? What was the big idea that Blavatsky was driving at in both of these, huge volumes?
Basically, she was saying there's this ancient wisdom, a tradition that's been around forever.
Okay, so like a secret hidden knowledge passed down.
Exactly, like a hidden stream flowing underneath everything.
But at Earth's surface.
And it fed into Eastern religions, Western esoteric thought, you name it.
Okay, so she's seeing connections between all these different systems.
Exactly. And her main point was that modern science, organized religion, in the 19th century at least, they had lost touch with this deeper truth.
So like they'd strayed from the source, gotten off track.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so she comes out swinging in volume 1, going right at science.
Yeah, she does.
What exactly about the science of her time was she criticizing?
She really took issue with materialism. This idea that everything could be boiled down to just matter and physical stuff.
Like we're just machines, basically.
In a way, yeah. And Blavatsky was like, hold on, that's way too simplistic to explain the universe, let alone something as complex as human consciousnesses.
Yeah, like what about our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences?
Exactly. And she said science was basically blind to all these unseen forces, the principles that are really at the heart of how reality works.
So like there's more to it than meets the eye, literally.
Yeah, way more.
Can you give us an example? Like how would Blavatsky have countered a specific scientific idea back then with this idea of, unseen forces at play?
Sure. Take the popular idea back then that nature was like a giant clockwork mechanism, everything running like clockwork.
Okay, very predictable, orderly.
Yeah, but Blavatsky would probably argued, drawing from maybe Hermetic philosophy, that this was missing something crucial. Vital life force, spiritual energies, that kind of stuff, that animate everything, connect everything.
So it's not just mechanics, it's something more alive, more dynamic.
Right, and she'd probably point to things science couldn't explain, like, say, certain psychological phenomena, as evidence of these hidden dimensions.
Okay, so like pushing the boundaries of what's considered scientific.
Yeah, she's pushing for a way more holistic, even mystical view of the universe.
So that's science. Then in volume 2, she turns her attention to theology.
Yeah, she does.
So what were her big issues with religion?
Blavatsky, she really scrutinized Christianity, in its orthodox forms and other established religions.
Not just Christianity then, she was looking across the board.
Right, and she didn't necessarily throw out everything they said, but she interpreted a lot of their stories, symbols, doctrines as allegories.
As stories that are pointing to something deeper.
Yeah, like they're veiling the secret knowledge, the esoteric stuff.
Like a code to be cracked.
Exactly, and she drew all these parallels between different religions, suggesting they all came from this one ancient source of wisdom.
Okay, so a shared origin, but then the different religions kind of branched out.
Yeah, and she'd say they got misinterpreted along the way, or that they were deliberately obscuring the real truth.
So she's kind of giving a critique of organized religion, but also acknowledging that there might be something valid beneath the surface.
Exactly, like there's potential for real spiritual insight if you know how to read between the lines, the esoteric way.
So she sees the stories and symbols not as literal historical events, but more like dot clues pointing to this hidden truth.
Exactly.
Now, the sources we have don't go into detail about specific concepts, but can you give us an idea of what kinds of key ideas she might have introduced in Isis Unveiled that then went on to be important in her later work? and in theosophy.
Yeah, Isis Unveiled is like the foundation for a lot of ideas that became really central to theosophy later on.
Okay, so she's laying the groundwork here.
Exactly. You might see early ideas about, say, the evolution of the soul.
Yeah.
The cyclical nature of time, the idea of spiritual guides or hierarchies, that kind of thing.
Okay, so pretty big, far-reaching concepts.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Though she really fleshed those out more fully in later writings.
This book sounds like it was a real bombshell, like dropping I don't know, a philosophical grenade into polite society in the late 1800s.
Yeah, kinda.
How did people react, to having their most basic beliefs challenged like that?
It was a firestorm, definitely.
Like who are not happy.
Some people loved it, those who were maybe disillusioned with mainstream science and religion.
Yeah, people hungry for something else, something more.
Exactly. They were looking for alternative explanations,
Right.
spiritual or philosophical.
Right, like there has to be more than this.
But then, of course, there were the critics, and they came out swinging, too.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Accusations of plagiarism, intellectual dishonesty, saying her ideas were just outlandish.
Like trying to discredit her, basically.
Yeah, it was a very polarizing book, that's for sure.
So to sum it all up, Isis Unveiled comes out in 1877, makes this big controversial argument for a hidden ancient wisdom,
Right.
and it's taking on both modern science and dogmatic religion, challenging those systems at their core.
Exactly. It's saying, hey, what if there's this whole other reality that you're missing?
Huh.
A more profound, interconnected reality that you can access through esoteric understanding.
Like a wake-up call, basically.
Yeah, you could see it that way.
And so that brings us to a question for you, dear listener.
Always got to leave them with something to think about.
We've got these debates going on today, right? Between science and spirituality still happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see any echoes of Blavatsky's criticisms in those debates?
It's something to consider for sure.
How does this idea of a lost universal wisdom, this ancient knowledge, how does that influence how we search for meaning today?
Especially in a world with so much information, so many different beliefs.
Yeah, how do we find our own truth? Lots to ponder.
Lots to ponder indeed.
Thanks for joining us in the Occult Archives. We'll see you next time.
See you then.